Springfield. This is sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce. My name is Dr. Gary Hecht. I don't live here, which makes me the perfect candidate for being your moderator. To my right is Lorraine Seidel, and she's been doing this for a lot longer than I've been alive. So, the goal of tonight is to, number one, give us a fair and friendly forum for our new candidates. I'll introduce everyone in just a moment. They'll introduce themselves. We're going to draw numbers in a moment to see who goes in what order. These forms right here that you have in front of you that you filled out with questions, just to go over some of the rules. First of all, like I've reminded some of the candidates, they're not to use any electronic devices, iPads, cell phones, laptops during the forum. So if you can just put your cell phones away, turn them on, off. Thank you. Just the candidates, you can use them. Put them on vibrate, I hope someone calls. Okay. The presentation order will be determined in just a moment. They're doing that now. I will be alternating questions to specific candidates. If a question is not directed to a specific candidate, the political party to which the question was directed will select the individual to provide the response. There is then a rebuttal. The opposing party can follow the same procedure. Answers and rebuttals must be limited to 1 minute. We have two amazing timers down here. Thank you, gentlemen. And only one member of the opposing party to rebut to rebut a specific answer. At the conclusion of the open question period, each candidate will have a 2-minute opportunity to present a final statement. We look forward to all those, so get ready for those. If anyone else needs water, let me know. I have a whole bag full there. And, okay, is our numbers picked?
Numbers are picked.
Okay.
Candidates will now introduce themselves. Who is number one?
I'll
Mr. Weber. Mr. Weber?
I'll go first. Go ahead. No.
Yeah.
Ready to roll?
A full introduction, just name and
Introduction statement.
They're all
Our statements. Yep.
time. Hi, good evening, fellow residents. My name is Chris Weber. I'm your candidate for Township Committee. I'm running along with Alex Kaiser. Thank you all for coming tonight to our candidates forum. Like many of you, I've not lived in Springfield my whole life. My wife Angie and I moved here with our family 11 years ago. I lived in Newark for 37 years, and my wife is from New York City. We decided to move to Springfield because of its great community, great schools, safe streets, and quality of life. We have 3 children. The oldest has graduated from Dayton in 2012. The younger ones are in FMG right now. I'm a certified coach for Springfield and was a girls softball coach in both rec and travel for many years. I'm 3rd generation law enforcement, with my grandmother and my mother's being generations 1 and 2. My oldest son is now 4th generation in law enforcement. I was blessed to have an outstanding career with the Newark Police Department and was privileged to be part of some of the most esteemed squads anywhere in the country. I was in Nitro, I was a plainclothes narcotics officer, I was in the ATTF, the Burglary Robbery Suppression Unit, motorcycle squad, and I was detective supervisor for the school safety task force for the city of Newark. During my time at school safety, my unit, which consisted of over 190 guards, was responsible for the safe passage of approximately 25,000 children to and from school. This is no small task. I'm proud to say my unit was the best in the state, and during my time there I had no incidents at all. I was trusted by my fellow officers with both their lives and livelihoods, as I was elected to the Newark Police Fraternal Order of Police Union as both the trustee and executive board member. I'm well versed in crime trends, patterns, how to be proactive to deter certain crimes from happening. After retiring from law enforcement, my wife and I started our 2nd career as realtors for Keller Williams on Mountain Avenue, Springfield. I understand the New Jersey housing market, what brings in new residents, what current residents are looking for to raise their property values and help their investments grow. If elected to the Springfield Township Committee, one of the main priorities I would like to focus on is to make sure that Springfield maintains its reputation as being a safe community to raise a family. I'll stay on top of the issues we face in Springfield: theft from autos, traffic at schools, traffic at various construction sites, pedestrians not being able to cross the streets, and specifically the safety of our children in schools. These are all things I've talked to you with during my door-to-door walks. I know they're important to us as a community and things I stand behind as I've successfully performed all of these tasks at various times during my career. My goal is to work with the Springfield residents, neighboring towns, and our Township Committee to make sure we have all the right tools needed to properly and effectively govern our town while keeping budgetary concerns in check. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Perfectly timed, well done. Who's number two? Hi.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Fernandez, and I'm running to be your Township Committeeman. I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce, the moderator, candidates, and you, the residents, for giving Maria and I the opportunity to demonstrate why you should vote for us on November 6th. I grew up in nearby Union, where I graduated in 1988. I received a bachelor's degree in hospitality management from Johnson & Wales University. I own a small business and operated it for over 20 years, the Spanish Pavilion Restaurant. I'm currently working for the Department of Labor as a career coach, helping people in their search for jobs. 14 years ago, I married my wife, Carmela. We have 3 amazing sons, Alexander, 13, Christian, 11, and Robert, 9. And that's why, like many residents, the future of Springfield is what matters most. When I started my family 13 years ago, I moved to Springfield. I bought a home, and I knew this is where I wanted to raise a family. I saw the tremendous potential and immediately wanted our family to become part of the community. My sons attend the FMG Middle School and Sandmeyer and participate in many town programs. As a father and husband, I know the importance of a strong community, and I have demonstrated that through my actions and fulfilled promises. I have served 2 terms of the Township Committee. I was deputy mayor one of those years and another as mayor in 2016. There was tremendous progress during my terms, and I will continue to commit my time and energy towards that end. I know the importance of being involved in government to preserve our quality of life and to avoid overtaxing and overregulating our towns. The success of my family business in New Jersey, despite the obstacles of government that overregulate and overtaxes, is a result of dedication and sacrifice. Maria and I have the experience it takes to accomplish what we need in Springfield. This may be considered a part-time job, but I promise you that it is not, and it is much more than that. I have learned when to compromise on issues and when to hold strong and to do whatever it takes to protect the people I represent. I will continue to work just as hard and with unwavering determination for the residents of Springfield. This debate will show residents why proactive leadership and the experience by Maria and I will be more effective in moving Springfield forward. Thank you for your time.
And who's number 3? Okay, Maria, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Maria Vasallo, and along with my running mate, Jerry Fernandez, we are asking for your support, again, to be your Township Committee representatives. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Springfield Chamber of Commerce and our moderators tonight for this particular opportunity to speak for all of you. I realize we have all very busy schedules, so I'd like to take the opportunity here and let you know that we appreciate all of you, and you listen to us, and I greatly appreciate that opportunity. I've been a homeowner in Springfield for close to 15 years. I graduated from Northeastern University in Boston with a bachelor's degree in political science and have worked in the pharmaceutical marketing industry for a number of years as well. I'm also a mom to 2 beautiful children, John and Marissa. Marissa attends Sandmeyer School right here in Springfield, and my son John is a cadet who attends Valley Forge Military Academy. As a resident, my worries and concerns are consistent with many of yours here tonight. We face issues such as increasing taxes and delivery of services to preserve the success of a town like ours. We often question the integrity and transparency of our elected officials on all levels, and we're also concerned about how those elected officials effectively budget for capital improvement projects, such as infrastructure, parks, and roadways for the benefit of making Springfield a desirable community. 3 years ago, I mentioned in my opening statement that I wanted to have a positive impact on our community by way of restoring effective representation through much needed action. I believe I have kept my promise of those words by voting yes to move our pool project forward, sitting on the pool committee, working closely with the architect, the designers, our former BA, and fellow committeewoman Erica DuBois. I also voted yes to move our downtown redevelopment projects forward and had the pleasure of sitting on our planning board, which allowed me to have an in-depth perspective of municipal project development. While sitting on the planning board, I voted yes to approve multiple projects, such as the Wawa plan, which is expected to be completed by the end of July 2019, as well as additional smaller projects that would introduce mixed-use properties along the Morris Avenue corridor. As your elected official, I invested in projects that consistently generate revenue for our community, such as the pool and approved planning projects. With your support, I will continue the progress already made and keep Springfield moving in a positive direction. Again, I'd like to thank all of you for your time, and I look forward to a spirited debate.
And finally, Alex, you're up.
Last but certainly not least, I'd like to take this opportunity first to thank the residents for all coming out and everyone who's watching at home on a new, improved platform. This night wouldn't be possible without the Springfield Chamber of Commerce, and of course that's a special thanks to Scott Seidel, who couldn't be here tonight, Lorraine Seidel, Mike Scalera, and Dr. Gary Heck for organizing this evening. You're all pillars of our community, and you truly make Springfield a better place to live. Lastly, I'd like to thank Committeewoman Vassallo and former Mayor Fernandez for participating tonight. It should be a good night of hearing who we are, sharing our ideas, and laying out the vision that we hope for Springfield. For everyone who doesn't know me, my name's Alex Kaiser, and I'm running with Chris Weber, and we are your Democratic candidates for Township Committee. I'm a lifelong resident here in town, a proud product of our public schools, and I've had the distinct honor and privilege for working for our state legislature for over the last 5 years. As a longtime public servant, I've served in a number of roles in our state legislature, from legislative aide to director of constituent services, to ultimately now where I serve as chief of staff to Assemblyman John F. McKeon. Throughout my career, I've served the adjoining legislative district and its 14 municipalities and roughly 400,000 constituents on a daily basis. I've answered concerns from residents ranging from how can they fix my pothole, to how do I get my unemployment benefits, to my tax return isn't getting to me on time. I've helped residents cut the red tape and navigate our state bureaucracy. I've researched legislative ideas and helped craft sound, forward-thinking public policy for all New Jersey's 9 million residents. Working in the adjoining legislative district, I've had the opportunity to advocate and help neighboring municipalities on some of these same issues that we face here in Springfield, from flooding on the Roadway River to pushing JCP&L to make their infrastructure improvements to ensure that we don't go weeks on end without a power failure. Recently, I've even helped New Jersey taxpayer residents fight back against the federal cap on municipal property taxes by helping my boss craft legislation which will allow municipalities to create charitable contributions and help save some money. I believe my government experience will help Chris and I accomplish all our goals and make Springfield a better place to live, more enjoyable, and a safer community. I'm proud, and if I'm also honored to get your vote, I promise that I will fight tirelessly night and day on your behalf. Thank you.
Thank you for those.
Good time to let everybody know to put their phones on.
So 1.6 billion, I'm all ready, so I might not be here next year.
It's 2 billion now.
Is it 2 billion? I threw like $10 in. I did my part. Okay, so now the way this works is we're going to be introducing questions specifically to one candidate or to one party, and then they'll decide who's going to answer. You have, I believe it's, about a minute or so, minute and a half to answer your question, and then rebuttal from the other party for that. Let's keep it light, no personal attacks, etc. Let's just learn about what your thoughts are on these issues, and etc. So we're going to go ahead. Michael and I are going to alternate asking the questions. This is, by the way, Mike Scalera from State Farm. I didn't introduce my apologies. My co-moderator and Rotarian, etc. So anyway, for Maria, on 2 occasions you reversed your original vote. Please explain your reason for doing so. There's a 2-part to this. The unfortunate dog ordinance, your original vote was to defeat the ordinance, but you voted against the motion to rescind it. The second part of it is your original voted against a resolution opposing the Pilgrim Pipeline, and when it was proposed the second time, you voted in favor. Please explain what changed your mind.
Sure. So can I speak about the Pilgrim Pipeline first?
Whichever you choose.
Okay. And how long do we have?
1 minute.
1 minute. 1 minute? Okay. So I was able to do some research on the Pilgrim Pipeline. I think Wendy is here in the audience. And I want to thank her because...
And Sheldon, CACP.
Okay, Sheldon was here. And on a personal note, I've spoken to Wendy, not in particular about the pipeline, but I wanted to always thank her for her participation in our meetings. She was able to provide me with information to take a look at what affects our communities. So if in fact this is a detriment to our community per se, I believe that we would be able to have, the wherewithal to deal with it. If that pipeline were to burst, I think that was one of your issues, that spillage would affect our water supply. Now that doesn't mean that I voted yes for it, that we're not going to have a pipeline built. That's not what that means. Now with the dog ordinance, I voted no, absolutely not, because it was ill-written. It was done with emotionality. I eventually voted yes, and I believe that was in the beginning of the year, after the governing body had to change it when I originally wanted the dog ordinance changed. It was passed. I was myself and Jerry Bujanowski were the only dissenting voices, and then it was voted yes after we had to go through the process of rescinding and changing that ordinance to consent.
Thank you.
Yep.
Democrats, you can give a rebuttal.
I don't think there's much of a rebuttal, but I do want to highlight. I'm the lead. My boss is the lead taking on the Pilgrim Pipeline. My boss and I are the one that's worked on drafting the state legislative action to try to stop that. We're committed to making sure that pipelines don't ruin our state. It's time, it's the 21st century, we need to move past that, move to a green energy future, and the Pilgrim Pipeline, I don't know why you were for it originally, maybe you weren't, but we've been from the start against it, and I've taken the lead. That's my experience, and I'll fight it tooth and nail if I'm elected.
Thank you. My name is Mike Scalera. I'm chairman of the board of the BID and also co-chair of the Chamber of Commerce. I don't live in Springfield either, but my wife would debate me on that. So let's go back to the debate. So Jerry, you have said that Springfield does not need to add any additional employees such as a public information officer, which is a Democratic proposal, specifically says need not be a new hire, but an additional responsibility for current employees or shared service. And yet the new position of the assistant to the township administrator was created for the previous VA since eliminated. Please comment on why that was acceptable and a PIO for the township would not be.
Wait, can you repeat that last part? What was it, the VA assistant?
Additional responsibility for current employees or shared service, and yet the new position of the assistant to the township administrator was created for the previous VA since eliminated.
I don't know what position that's vague. I don't know of any assistant to the VA while I was mayor in 2016. I'm not sure if a position came up after. What creating new positions is something we have to be careful. our budget is really down to the we use the last knock. If you talk to our CFO, our budget is tight. Without knowing what this position, would it be part-time, would it be full-time? And if you're talking about giving it to an employee in town, that also has to be looked at. They're not going to do additional work sometimes without stipends. We have people who do other works and they get stipends for that. So, you know, I guess it's a little vague to know exactly. What my position would be almost like a hiring freeze right now. I don't think we can afford to hire more people. Now, if it's a position that they're going to work within, perhaps, depending on what the cost would be. But spreading the word and getting the word out is difficult. We've tried, you know, we try to do the best we can in town with our websites, with getting information out. I think something like the bid, for example, with redevelopment, maybe they should have meetings in the evening, maybe 4 meetings a year in the evening, and advertise it to bring people here to get more information out. A newsletter, which was discussed, can cost money too. The Patriot goes to every household. Free. And there's a mayor's message free, but it doesn't cost the Patriot free. You make money by advertising. As my opponent soon will see, because I'm sure a mailer is going out to every household, it's expensive. Thank you.
Okay, please.
Okay. I'll answer that because I am actually the one that started the public information officer post somewhere else. Admittedly, you just said that the info is hard to get out. First off, public information officer is a FEMA designation, right? There needs to be one. Second off, you're spending an outrageous amount of money rebuilding Springfield in different capacities, whether it's the pool, whether it's downtown. There's a ton of information that comes in and out. Could somebody who works here take it over? Sure, it could. It can't be somebody who's good at making internet Christmas cards, right? There is too much information. There are too many different demographics to reach. There are people from 90 years old down to 18 years old that need information through various ways, whether it's print, internet, television, radio. There's just too many ways to reach too many different people. You haven't gotten it done before. There was a public information officer here at one time, all right? And it was done away with. You have public information who's the eyes and ears of OEM and what would happen and getting out information. You can't have a town of this size and not have somebody who's qualified to get out the information. Am I opposed to somebody here doing it? I'm not. But they have to be qualified and they have to know how to do it. All right? I'm not going to give
Am I allowed to do that? Can I speak to this, or?
I think we're just going to do one of each, and maybe I'll include it a little bit.
Okay.
All right, next question. This is for Mr. Weber. Chris, how do you feel about the blue line, which some feel is not so much in support of the police, but an affront to people of color? So.
The blue line. All right. So, former police officer. From my point of view, the blue line was established long before anything else happened. Let me give you a back history of the blue line. The blue line was established for when police officers would drive down the road, or they would go into different counties, different states, and so on. You'd have a thin blue line on the back of your car, somewhere on the windshield, on the rear window, or the license plate, to identify that you're a police officer. That's what it was. It was not in retribution for anything that's happened within the last year or two. If the residents want to show support for a blue line and painted down the center of town, if that's what they're for, then that's what I'm for. Are there other ways that you can show support for your police department? There are a lot of ways. I'll work with that. I'll tell you what I'm good at doing is, I spent my entire career trying to bridge people together. Right? I spent my entire career trying to fix problems. You'd show up, and you had to make it all right within 30 seconds to 10 minutes. And I think that if the police department, and if I worked with the police department, if I worked with the community, I think we can make it all function properly, and everybody can get along nicely.
Thank you. Republicans, any blue line?
I don't mind making opening statement. I fully support our police department. I appreciate the work they've done here in Springfield, and I'm going to speak specifically to Springfield, and I'm going to speak specifically to our community. I've heard a few times tonight, within the past 15 minutes, about making this town safe and having safety, you know, being top priority. I have to say, without reservation, that I truly believe that this town is a very safe community. And if there are issues that need to be at the forefront, then you can find me on Facebook, you can email me, you can call me directly. I have to truly admit to all of you that I'm not the type of person that's going to sit on social media day in and day out and read 255,000 comments on Facebook. I'll be completely honest with you. And if I knew that the blue line was going to be an issue about race, I truly did not know that. And I welcome an open dialogue about that. When I look at that blue line, I see support for our police, our fire, our first responders. That's what I see. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This next question is for Alex. Your platform says you will work towards a downtown we can all be proud of. What will you do that is not already being done by the bid?
It's a very good question. You know, I think the bid's doing a great job. I commend all the hard work they're doing. But as I've been knocking doors, over 2,500, a lot of residents have come to me and said, well, our input isn't being heard or not solicited, and they have a lot of different ideas from some realtors out there, from some people that do development through their law career. So I think the township and the bid needs to move in that direction and start to take some solicitation from some of our residents as well, who might have some great ideas. I was talking to one guy who came from South Orange, and he said during South Orange development, they solicited ideas from residents a little more, and he didn't feel that was the case here. So I'm committed to bringing in some more residents, but I think the bid's doing a tremendous job. I think my experience working with other municipalities, expediting permits on a daily basis for 14 municipalities, I think that also lends a new hand to this committee, and to bring some different experience and get things accomplished and get that on the right track. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
I know we have had more than one with the bid meetings where we had events where residents were invited and came. You know, former Mayor Barnett, when he was mayor, we had them here. We had them in the the Sarah Bailey building. I think one thing, you know, so the input I believe is there. I disagree with my opponent. I believe though that if what happens is this has been taking a few years. The bid is around now almost 8 years, I guess, close to it. What I would do, what I suggest again, is hosting meetings. They meet the third Tuesday in the morning. Very hard for residents to get to. Why not have meetings, a couple, maybe 4, like I said, 1 a quarter in the evening, make it an event, bring the residents here so they can understand a little more of what's going on, and maybe we can get some more input that way. Thank you.
Next question is for Jerry. Jerry, what was your role in the transaction with the Board of Education where land was exchanged for the turf field? The person who asked me the question, they're referring to the land that turned out to be unusable due to it being polluted.
Well, I don't know if
Again, I'm just...
that's polluted would be the wrong word. What the idea was there, we worked with the Board of Ed to help pay off the bond. That was the idea. And the idea was to sell the property, have the Board of Ed sell the property and use that funds for the bond. It's their property. I mean, we couldn't force them to do it. And when they did an examination of the property, in one of the baseball field, there had been something buried underneath and it had to be cleaned out. So it was a light kind of contamination that had to be cleaned out. Then the Board of Ed, we had the option of either selling it to us or trying to sell it. The residents up there were very upset about selling it and having it built. But the idea was really, honestly, the idea was, hey, how can we help pay the bond? And then the Board of Ed, that's their property, and at the end, they decided, I guess, not to. It looks like now, from my understanding, is that it's being cleaned, and that perhaps the county will take it for open space, and we will get some funds from there. Any funds that do come in will go towards that bond. That's it.
Thank you. Gentleman Pratt, answer?
Just hope it's getting cleaned up and no
that's done.
answer.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, this one's for Maria. What are your plans to fix the traffic, the truck traffic on Mizell Avenue?
Let me guess who asked.
Let me see who's out in this audience that I might know who actually asked that question.
Actually, it was for everybody.
Okay.
Oh.
So, we have this spectacular resident that comes to many of our meetings that talks about the truck traffic on Mizell Avenue. And these roads are county roads. This is a county issue. I am the first person, I don't like to deflect on an issue. I know that issue exists. But if you look at where Springfield is situated within Union County, I'm not quite sure how we can tell the county or these particular companies not to drive through our town. Now, one of the issues we have, and I've read from my opponents, that we have to deal with our traffic issues, our transportation, our infrastructure. Understood, noted. However, if you take a look again of where we're situated within Union County, the amount of traffic that flows through this town is almost impossible to decrease. I mean, we have to take a look at what's going on right now and address it. How do we address it? We take a look at what's going on Hillside Avenue and South Springfield Avenue. That intersection is horrible. If there's anybody here that can honestly say that we don't have an issue on Hillside Avenue and South Springfield Avenue is wrong. Now that is a traffic study that's been going on. We've been able to contract with the county, and it looks like we're going to move forward with that traffic study. I'm not looking at anybody in particular in the audience. However, I believe if we do things like that, if we take a look at our intersections, and the county can understand that maybe if we fix some of these issues, that our flow of traffic may not decrease. But it'll be a lot better than what it is now. And
Thank you, Maria. Democrat,
Okay, so I did traffic for a while. I'm one of these guys that I'm gonna sit there and tell you I had a long career, and I'm just gonna everything. I did that at one time. All right, so I was certified for the state of New Jersey, and I handled pedestrian sting operations. And what that means is this: you go down Kenilworth and you go down the boulevard, and I guarantee you see everybody is trained to drive 25 miles an hour. There is no deviation, or you get pulled over. What I would like to see happen on some of these areas is like Mountain and Mizell. I'd like to see that happen. I'd like to see pedestrian sting operations where our guys are out there, and our guys, you can train drivers. Believe it or not, you can train them, and pedestrians have the right of way in New Jersey. I know that we think differently than everybody else in than 49 other states, but pedestrians have the right of way, and what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to yield. And I think if you put a blitz out there on Mountain and Mizell, I think that we will just have a better town for it. I think that you'd have a safer place. I'm petrified of my kids going to Wabito to cross over there because of where it's at. Right?
I'm sorry.
You know, so if that crossing guard's not there, I have to find another way to get them across that street. So what I want to do is I want to work with the department full force, and I want to slow things down over there and train drivers to the way we want them when they come through Springfield.
Just to make sure, I want to make sure on our end we got it. This was about the truck traffic, right? Throughout town? Okay. No, it's not a rebuttal.
just a clarifying question.
Wait, breathe. Just want to make sure that we got heard the question.
So when we get questions, sometimes they're a little different than what we'd expect to get. This was actually put out for all candidates. I'm just going to arbitrarily give it to the Republicans first. And this is how it's worded. This is a question of values. Despite living in a small town, New Jersey, we still have positions on issues of national concern. The question is, how do you feel about immigrant children being separated from their parents and put in detention camps? Republicans first. Listen,
you know what? I'm a firm believer, and I have not wavered from this, and I am the Republican chairman. But I can tell you this, on a local level, I don't think we need the parties. There's plenty of issues to talk about nationally and on the county and on the state level, and we're living in times that I've never seen before. But I'm here to help Springfield. I'm here to make things good for not only my family, but for the residents and everyone in this town. Okay, so, you know, if we want to get into that debate, you better make this a lot longer and a lot different. But this is, and we're being chosen to be elected to represent Springfield and the concerns in this town. And believe me, we have plenty of things to work on right here. We don't need to go anywhere else. We have to fix a lot of things, and we have to work together to do it. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, and everybody. We need to work together or we go nowhere. Nowhere. So, I'm going to say that. We're focused. Maria and I believe we are going to be elected for this position.
Thank you, Jerry. And Democrat,
For sure. But, yeah, you're right. That's a national issue, Jerry. But your voice does matter as an elected official. And if you stand idly by and support what your national party is doing, well, that's a disgrace. And your voice matters. And to say that it's great hearing that he wants to do away with political parties at the local level, but he's the chairman of the local Republican Party. Where I come from, that may be considered a hypocrite. Thank you.
Okay, this is for the Republican Party. Jerry, your campaign seems to imply that progress in Springfield has stalled under the current administration, which has only been in control since January of this year. If this is true, you and your party was in control for the previous 3 years. Why do you think this has stalled, and why would electing you once again be a move in the right direction rather than backwards?
I actually think the last 2 years have been slow, and that you can call it a Republican majority, and the year before not, even though I kind of think that again, parties shouldn't matter. So the last 2 years, I think, have been slow. Some of the accomplishments that I came, you know, you need a committee to make things happen. One person, this isn't a dictatorship, so you have to work with the committee. But some of the ideas, you need people who are willing to think outside the box, taking the initiative and do things. The Business Improvement District was something that I worked on, that I've met with other mayors and said, hey, how did you fix up these towns? Now, I know there have been opportunities and discussions previously in Springfield on getting it going, but it never really did take off. We got it going. The pool project, after we spent $1 million over 5 years almost in repairs. And I pushed for that saying, hey, you know, we're just spending money on something that was built so long ago. Why don't we fix it? Why don't we do something about it? And we got it done. Worked on 2 labor contracts, saved over $1 million by doing it. We switched the healthcare plan. Everybody told me, you're not going to be able to do that. The unions, you know, it has to be same or better. Well, we did it. And in the last labor contract, we negotiated no more benefits for life. We negotiated with the union. They worked with us, and now after a certain time, when they go into Medicare, we no longer have to cover the supplementary of the Plan B, saving money in the long term.
Thank you. Democratic rebuttal?
The question again?
Please repeat the question.
Mr. Fernandez, your campaign seems to imply that progress in Springfield has stalled under the current administration, which has only been in control since January of this year. If this is true, you and your party was in control for the previous 3 years. Why do you think this has stalled, and why would electing you once again to be a move in the right direction rather than backwards?
Well, but I won't. But Jerry, but let's get this. This goes hand in hand of people not knowing what's going on in town. It's our campaign that wants more information out there and more transparency. It's our campaign that wants greater communication like we once had with a townwide newsletter or our mayors and committee people doing a public access television show. So if people think that it's stalled, well, that might be because the committee's not, and the local government's not getting the news out there. People, when I've talked to people and knocked doors, Some people don't even know there's park and ride jitney service. That all comes back to not having the flow of communication. Seniors aren't online, so they would like something in writing. Our younger residents probably don't read the mail as much, so they want stuff online. So that's why we need somebody coordinated enough to get that done. Thank you.
This is another two-all question, so I'm going to send it to the Democrats first. What do you feel is the greatest unmet need facing Springfield? Generic question. I'll throw it to you first, Democrats.
Right now, I think the greatest unmet need facing Springfield, I don't think there's, I don't think the surrounding areas, I don't think the people of Jersey, I don't think they understand how great Springfield is. I don't think they understand that, like you said, that there's a jitney, that we have two train stations, one within a minute of the Springfield border and one within 5 minutes of the Springfield border. I don't think they understand that we have great shopping. I don't think they understand that we have great restaurants. I don't think they understand that we are close to 78 and the Parkway and 287 and 24, and that we can hold our own with any community around here. And I think that's what I think that's the greatest need that we have right now. I think that we want our property values and we want to be what other towns around us are. And I think that if it's communicated properly and effectively, and New Jersey gets the word out of how great Springfield is and what we have to offer, I think you'll see big changes here.
Thank you. And to the Republicans, what do you feel is the greatest unmet need facing Springfield?
Well, I have to say I've been here almost 15 years. I've heard a number of comments from residents, and in Springfield 15 years. I've lived here my entire life for 43 years. I just gave away my age. Anyway, you know, I've had people say to me in the past, Maria, we're not like Westfield. Maria, why can't we be like Cranford? I don't understand this. We have a wonderful area where we can redevelop. Why hasn't it been redeveloped yet? Well, I'm here to tell all of you that we can speak and speak about this. But until the inception of the BID, our Business Improvement District, until that came about, there was nothing going on in our downtown. Can there be one person in this audience that truly believes Morris Avenue is a nice place to shop? Is there anybody here that believes it? Now again, I'm going to talk about transcending parties and working together as a team. We have a Business Improvement District. We have a position within our municipal government that is for a business administrator. We have teams within Town Hall that can work together with developers. If you look around this town, we have beautiful homes going up in this town. I truly don't believe that doesn't mean it means that this town holds its value because we have larger homes. I believe that this town is built on a very good basis of family, structure, good schools, and one thing we're lacking is our downtown. We've moved it forward. It's been sitting stagnant for 30 years. We finally have the opportunity to move this downtown forward, and let's continue that process. Thank you.
The next question is for Chris. Do you feel we need political parties at this level?
All right, so it's my understanding that this has been looked at numerous times in Springfield, all right? It's my understanding that there's been 3 or more studies done on this. There's been a decent amount of money put forth to these studies, and the change of government has been denied every time that we function well as we are. You know, here's the thing, do we need political parties? I think that they do help identify us. I do think that you need people who are willing to work with anybody. I think Alex and I are willing to work with anybody. I think that I can sit here in this room, Alex and I can sit here with anybody in this room and have any kind of issues around us, and I can guarantee you we can kind of come up with some kind of compromise. So I think that I think that's the bigger picture here. I think the bigger picture is getting people who can work together and not see parties so much, and can relate to everybody's needs.
Thank you. Republican rebuttal, do you feel we need political parties at this level?
No, I don't. And I've been pretty clear with that. And actually, in 1950, they've been doing a study going back. In 1958, a study came back saying that it should be changed here in Springfield. We are living in a political time that is much different than I remember ever. And even though it was only 3 or 4 years ago that this was done, I think that when we bring it to this level, we are dividing ourselves just based on these parties. There are people that I met that love me because I'm Republican or don't hate me because I'm Republican. They don't know me. They don't know some of these candidates up here, and I give credit to all of them up here. It doesn't matter. I don't have a Republican way to fix the pothole. I don't have a Republican way to do certain things or a Democrat way. We do need to work together. But at this level, right here, we're not invading union. I'm not changing the health care plan. I am here to make Springfield affordable and make it wonderful for all of us. That's it.
Okay, this is an open question. Send it to Republicans first. I'm just going back and forth. In light of the contentious political climate in our country over the past couple of years, and considering the increasing diversity of Springfield, what role do you think you as a public official play in bringing all members of our community together, and how do you envision doing that? Send to the Republican Party first.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not going to sit here and political grandstand on any of the issues facing us on a national level. I'm going to speak specifically to our town. When I look at people, I look at a welcoming, wonderful community. The diversity within this state is great. I attended a college that was extremely diverse. I came back to New Jersey that has such diverse ethnic backgrounds that I think it's wonderful, and it attributes this state to being what it is. And speaking, specifically to our town, I believe we all are together. I wish that question was posed, that we have some specific issue that you'd like me to address, because that question is so vague that I'm not quite sure what you would like me to say in response to that. I love this community. I chose to move here, own a home here, I chose to stay here. We're all free citizens in the fact that we can move anywhere in this country, anywhere in the state that we'd like. We can pick up and leave, but I choose to stay in Springfield, not only because of its diversity, but because of what it offers. It's a wonderful community to live in. And I look at everybody as my friend. I walk around town, I've met so many people over the years, over the course of 15 years, that if there's a specific question as to how you'd like to bring us together, I feel like we are together. Again, if somebody posed a specific issue and there was a contentious issue in this town, please let me know. Reach out to me.
Democrats, you want to hear it again, or good to go?
Please repeat the question.
Okay. In light of the contentious political climate in our country over the past couple of years, and considering the increasing diversity of Springfield, what role do you think you as a public official can play in bringing all members of our community together, and how do you envision doing that?
Well, I understand the question perfectly. They want us as leaders to bring it together, Maria. They're
Are we
looking at...
divided in Springfield?
They're looking for you to form some new ideas.
Have you spoken to me about this divisiveness?
Come on.
Have you?
By the way, Fernandez.
Okay, you can let him answer. Let him answer the question. Alex, please just
He's looking at me
don't
and asking
look.
me.
I'm not looking. They want us to form, to bridge the community together. Places like Livingston, they have a diversity club. that brings people together, puts events on for Martin Luther King Day, make sure LGBT students are welcomed, form ways to bring the community together. That's what we need to do. I'm looking forward to working with the Township Committee. I know they have ideas to form a playground for special needs children. That's what brings our community together when we start reaching out to the different sects of our communities and bringing them all together. And that's what I'm committed to do as a committee person, if I'm so elected.
The next question is for Chris and Alex. Please comment on whether a 5-0 Township Committee would be detrimental to Springfield. Would that not promote a lack of diversity of ideas?
All right, so I've already gone against a few things that my party said, and we're all individual thinkers. My life experiences are way different than Alex's. They're different than Erica's. They're different than Rich and Chris's. All right, they're all different. I believe that you have a good group of thinkers. I think that you have a good group of people who are willing to express their individual ideas. I know I am, and I know anybody that knows me knows that, I say what I mean. And if I tell it to you, that's what I believe, and it doesn't matter to me, if you're my associated Democrat or you're Republican. It doesn't matter. I'm not afraid to agree with a Republican. I'm not afraid to disagree with a Democrat. I just want what is done to be best for what my town is going to need. That's it. So I don't see a problem with it, no.
Republican rebuttal.
Mr. Weber, it almost sounds like you're saying we don't need parties in here. Is that what I'm hearing here? I think you said it doesn't matter. Unfortunately, as Mr. Rosenberg knows, an independent, as he ran last year and ran a great campaign, it's very difficult to win. So until we change the form of government, you have to, I guess, run on a party. And I wouldn't want to see a 5-0 majority in either party. I look at towns that have that, and as much as you say, and I get you, and Chris, I know you personally. I'm sorry, I don't know Alex as well. And I believe you, I really do. But what about this is not just 5-0 if you get elected. What happens in the future if 5-0 other people get elected? And, the way it works too, the counties, the monies that come from parties, and sometimes it's difficult, but, I know Mr. Hubert, he has worked with me on projects, but 5-0 in either party, I just don't think is a good idea. I wouldn't want it as a Republican party. And again, I'm the chair. And you can save the tape for when we run that in an election where we can get 5-0. Just remember that. All right, that's all.
Thank you. We're going to have a couple more questions, and then we're going to go to your closing statements, so we're out of here at 9 o'clock. I think Wapner's on or something like that. Okay, so this is for Chris. How will you address the rising cost of the Rahway Valley Sewer Authority on our budget?
How would I address
the rising cost of the Rahway Valley Sewer Authority on our budget?
I don't have an answer for that. I'll tell you what happens. When I get in there, if I'm elected, I will I'll review it. I'll see what our costs are. I'll see what all the expenditures are. I'll try to determine what is wasteful, what is cost effective, and what we can do to make it better. But that's the only answer I have right now. I'm not privileged to I don't even have that information right now.
Thank you.
Chris, I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your honesty on that, and I can speak to that.
Okay.
One of my first appointments here within the township, I was an RVSA commissioner in Rahway, and it was my opening eyes to understanding municipal budgets and the burdens that townships face, in terms of infrastructure and what we spend on our sewage system. The first joke to me was, Maria, you should be great at this. Sewage, you're changing diapers on a daily basis, so you should know all about sewage. Well, let me tell you, it was very different than what makes me when I went down here. We had the Rahway Valley Sewage Authority that's located in Rahway. It's a treatment plant. We are what you call a constant offender, and our overages are continual. monthly, they send out a report, and your flow rates, it's called a flow rate. Our flow rate is constantly high. So what we've done is we've had hired a engineering firm to take a look at our pipes. So people, have said in the past that it's due to overdevelopment, that maybe we've built too many apartments in town, too many homes in town. This is increasing our flow rate. But what we're doing right now is we're having a study done to take a look at our infiltration. So we have an engineering firm come out and take a look at the pipes and to see if the water flow is affecting our overage. And that's where we are with that right now. But it's a constant moving factor. We have another few towns within our purview, within Union County that are constant, flow rate aggressors. And unfortunately, right now, we have nothing to really say with that. So. I'm sure most people here don't understand even what I just spoke about, but trust me, it's a large portion of your tax bill. I will leave it at that, about $100,000. So.
Okay, this is going to be the last question, and it's sort of an open-ended question for both parties. We're going to go, I believe, Republican is going to go first. Thoughts on redevelopment, pros and cons? Very open question, and this is the last question of the night.
So this is given by somebody in the audience?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, the bid is doing a good job. We have some new projects that are one might even be starting very soon that you'll see, and redevelopment's on its way. Is it as fast as we'd like? No. And then that comes again, and I'm going to talk about it, our former government. The last 10 years, we've had 16 different committee people, 8 different mayors. And we do what we need to do to make development go faster and make things. We need to come up with a long-term plan so that when the new faces, if we don't have a change of government, the new faces that come up know exactly what the plan has been and what we can do to keep it going forward. They may not agree with everything if you got elected, maybe on some issue that you'd like to change, fine. But right now, the changes that we have just are slowing things down. And, and we not only have to focus, we keep talking about downtown. It's redevelopment of all of Springfield. It's improving all of Springfield. Chipotle, down Morris Avenue, Mountain Avenue, new pavers that are going to be done all up Mountain Avenue. We keep talking about just downtown. We have the whole town to work on, the whole town to redevelop. We need to focus on that.
Question?
Generally, what is your thoughts on redevelopment and what's the other? Pros and cons.
We're one of the things that makes us a little unusual is I don't think anybody's pinpointed the center of town yet for us. You've got two places on Mountain Avenue. You got Norris Avenue. You've got this is a constant work in motion, and it's no secret. Since this whole entire thing started, you probably had over 20-something committee persons involved on it, 5, 6, 7 mayors. I'm not even sure how many.
16 minutes.
So, it's a long process. It's not something that happens overnight. I don't fault anybody for it taking that long because sometimes that's just the way it happens. I'm prepared to work with it. I think that you will constantly have development no matter what, and I think that that's what's going to help us grow. I think we just have to bear with it, and there's going to be slow times, there's going to be fast times. The pool was fast. That was fast in the entire thing. The pool house came up, and next thing you know, it worked out well. All right. Morris Avenue is going to start taking place. It took a little while to happen. It's going to start happening. But don't forget, you still have other stores, you've got other houses, you've got other apartments, you've got a lot of things happening. So, listen, development is good for anybody. It's good for our town, and it's good for our people. So.
I know how to fix everything. When I win, I'll get a little back. Don't worry.
We'll buy the whole town.
I'll buy the town.
Buy that one building. Right?
Okay, so that's the end of our question portion. We're going to have closing statements. At conclusion of the open question period, each candidate will have a 2-minute opportunity to present a final statement. We're going to go in the reverse order of how we started. 2 minutes. 2 minutes is right there.
That's all? No more questions?
So,
talk about
So
our
Alex,
budget.
you're going to go first, then Maria, then Jerry, and then Chris in that order. Alex, you're up, 2 minutes, it's all yours.
Goodness gracious. Okay.
Hey, this was a great night, and if anyone has any other questions, please feel free to reach out to Chris and I. We're always around. I've been knocking thousands of doors here in town, meeting thousands of residents, and hearing all your concerns. And I'm going to take all those concerns, because as any good leader does, they listen. And I've listened, and I can't wait to get going on all those projects. And I do remember a vibrant downtown. It wasn't always the greatest, but it was a downtown that you could walk to. I remember a pet store where I could buy a goldfish. And maybe that's just because I've lived here all my life, Maria. But I'm looking forward to one day getting that back. Looking forward to raise my own family here. Because, let me tell you, a lifelong resident may be unique to this board, but it's not unique to the town. I've met so many residents that went to Jonathan Dayton just like me. And maybe I'm a little younger, but I'm looking forward to fight tirelessly for you. And I believe my experience working every day in government and working with 14 other municipalities to accomplish great things and fight not only to get our soul of our state back, but get the soul of our nation back. And that's why I believe political parties matter. It means why we are going to fight tooth and nail to accomplish everything that you want. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Maria. You have the floor, 2 minutes.
Say there's 3. All right. Boy, I wish we could have touched upon some more things in town that really matter to our residents right now on a local level, but I'll continue with my closing statement. A few months ago, the president of my son's military academy, Major General Walt Lord, gave a very moving speech on honor, which resonated with me. I'd like to share a few of his words with all of you tonight. He gave his cadets the following advice. Once you've established yourself as an honorable person, by following the example of those you respect and admire, you should seek to be a good example to those who are watching you. He also went on to say, honor should guide your behavior even when you think nobody is watching. It's been a pleasure to serve the residents of Springfield for the past 3 years, and I look forward to serving on this committee for an additional 3. I've been given a wonderful opportunity to be an integral part of the decision-making process that values the input of not only our residents, but our municipal employees. Without them, this township would not run as smoothly as it does. Let's all remember that. No elected official should ever feel they are entitled to take credit or bolster their popularity on the backs of our municipal team. I also realize not everyone has the capacity to run for public office, but I've made it a priority over the past 10 years to give back to Springfield. It wasn't always easy, but not many people step up for the task. Whether it's sitting on the RVSA board, providing a forum for residents to talk about bullying within our community, serving food for Meals on Wheels, holding a clothing drive for hurricane victims, serving on various committees and subcommittees, the planning board, or founding the Springfield Hometown Heroes Committee, I have found joy in it all. It's not always easy, but I can sit here before all of you and tell you that I have found joy and happiness in it all. I've made a decision to look at every issue with integrity and honor. There have been times where I've been the only dissenting opinion, and I voted no, the only one, but I'm okay with that because I was raised with integrity and honor. I have the leadership and fair-minded determination to continue this progress, and I look to move Springfield forward. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Maria. Jerry, you're up.
I'd like to thank everyone, the moderator, Chamber of Commerce, for having us here. Maria and I have the experience it takes to move Springfield forward. I've been mayor, deputy mayor, and served on just about all the government committees possible, from recreation to finance. We have started many of the projects and have and will change Springfield. During my time elected, I helped negotiate 2 labor contracts that saved over $1 million. It takes a committee to get things done, and sometimes several, but you need people who initiate change and who think outside the box for the committee to make progress. I was instrumental in bringing the new bid in town. I helped to bring better fields for our children and worked with the Board of Education and attended county meetings asking for this to happen. After the town was spending nearly $1 million over 5 years for pool repairs, I asked that we start building a new facility with the revenue generated at the pool. And now we have a new building and more to come. During major storms like Irene and Sandy, I helped lead our community alongside wonderful people and saw neighbor helping neighbor. And no one asked if they were Democrat or Republican. I worked with those affected by the storms to get back to normal and have never stopped working to see what we can do to make it easier for our residents who live in flood areas. I'm still on the flood mitigation and I'm still on the planning board. It is important to be proactive and not just reactive on the Township Committee. Maria and I have a proven track record to finish the job. We have done what we said we would every time. We will revitalize not just the downtown, but all of Springfield. We will bring a better Springfield in a fiscally responsible way with bolder, forward-thinking initiatives. We will make a Springfield that all of us can be proud to call home. I prefer it on a local level that we have no political parties. But as long as we do, there should not be a 5-0 majority with one party in control. If we both lose, then that could happen. Good government needs checks and balance and bipartisan. We all live in town, and the only way to make this town a place we can be proud of is working together. Maria and I are ready and willing to make this happen, and we need your vote to provide you the proper representation to move Springfield forward for all of us on November 6th. Please vote with Salo and Fernandez. Thank you, and God bless Springfield.
Thank you. And finally, Chris.
Okay, so this was an interesting last 6 months. You know, when Alex and I first got together, we talked about what kind of election we wanted to run. And me being here 11 years and him his whole life, past elections were a nightmare. Past elections were not pleasurable. And just from an outsider's perspective, they weren't pleasurable. It was very uncomfortable. So with that, I want to say thank you, Jerry, Maria. We did this the right way. There's been no anything. There's been no false rumors thrown around. There's been nothing going on. Everybody on here, I think, has done it the right way, and thank you guys for all doing the election the right way. I don't have. We cover a lot of things. We still have another few weeks to get. My closing statement, honestly, is we're a small town. We got big plans. Alex and I think, are the right team members to make the plans happen. So thank you.
So just in closing, I want to thank the candidates for your time tonight, the members of the community for coming out, providing questions. I'll remind you to go out and vote often. But make sure you vote and make sure you tell your neighbors to come out and vote, because if you don't use your voice, you will lose your voice. So thank you again, and enjoy the Patriot. It's what the Chamber of Commerce puts out. It goes to your mailbox. Always check in for the latest news, and we're going to say goodnight. Thank you.